Regardless, all's well that ends well for Real Madrid as they pick up 3 points at home, just their second win of the league campaign. Final score 2-0 over Real Betis as we take a look at the top half of the La Liga table. Again, the gap between Barcelona and Real Madrid at the beginning of the day was 7, now down to a much more reasonable 4 points between the top two teams in the moment in the Spanish top flight. All right, for more on this, we welcome into the show our good friend and colleague, Luis Garcia. Luis, what happened in that second half? How were Mbappe and company finally able to get things going?
Yes, great mention. The wait is over, and we've seen Kylian Mbappe score his first goal in La Liga for Real Madrid, and well deserved. I think it's a great finish, clinical finish, fantastic pass from Valverde, but you could see that Real Madrid was already getting closer to that moment because the calm was there. They were keeping the ball, they were moving fast at the ball, and they were optioned through the middle, they were optioned through the wide areas, and you could see that if there is no one, it was going to be the other one. So in the end, I think it's a well-deserved win for Real Madrid. Not the first 45. I think they was missing a little bit that last pass, that last third where you need to be a little more calm to have a look around you and to try to make the right decisions with the ball. We saw that in the second half, and that intensity and desire that the Real Madrid put today, maybe not that much in the previous fixtures. I think that deserve that those 3 points, those 2 goals for Mbappe. I agree with you guys. That penalty, soft penalty. I think he's looking for the touch, but in the end, it was a penalty and 3 points for Real Madrid. That before an international break, I think they were desperate to get those 3 points.
I think the guys said it in commentary, didn't they? It still wasn't a scintillating performance, but did it have to be? And the answer is no. What it had to be today was negative headlines to the side for tomorrow, 3 points, Mbappe to score, all the things that would have made headlines in Madrid tomorrow have gone for the time being with an international break, and that's important. I think it was an important monkey to get off the back, to be honest with you, because had they dropped points today, had he not hit the net, we know what the headline is tomorrow again, and then Ancelotti's got 2 weeks plus of that before they come back, and it's, well, when's it going to happen, and what's the combination going to be, and blah, blah, blah. And so that's at least put to bed. Now, there's a lot of work to do still for this team.
Where?
A lot of work. You know, midfield to front, but particularly the front. There's still a lot of work to be done. Had Real Betis had a bit more heavy artillery up front in the final third, this could have been a different story. So it's far from perfect, but at least give some breathing space for Ancelotti to take stock and go, right, we've had these 4 league games, here's where we are, and here's where we need to be better.
Are we overstating, Stevie, how important a win this was for Real Madrid?
No. I mean, but bigger picture, had that been Barcelona today, and had Barcelona with Rafinha and Lamal and Lewandowski and the pace they've got in the front, they would have taken that back 4 apart. But it was Betis, and so they could make those mistakes, and they could get away with it. And so there's just a lot of work for Ancelotti to do with this side. I think a lot more than even he thought at the start of the season.
You know, I think the toughest job Ancelotti's got is figuring out how to get the chemistry right, particularly with the front 3.
Mm-hmm. We saw more of the connection though today, didn't we, with Vinny and Mbappe?
Well, they tried to connect a lot more today than they have done, and the fact that it's only been 4 games, and the fact that they've not quite got up to speed with each other. You know, the final pass wasn't quite the right pace, particularly the one you saw Vinny try to put Mbappe in, just a little bit heavy. All of these little things, once they figure them out, then we'll see the juggernaut that we're expecting. But until then, the only important thing is to win and keep yourself at the right place in the table until such times as the chemistry does start working. Because it certainly isn't yet.
You talked about all the areas, Craig, where they kind of need to improve. Midfield is something that Luis actually mentioned in the pregame show. Luis, I wonder what you thought about, one, the pass from Fede Valverde, and then beyond that, what the Real Madrid midfield was able to do, especially in that second half, to maybe open things up.
Well, it was a period where they couldn't handle the midfield of Real Betis, who were dominating, controlling. We mentioned before in the pre-show that this Real Betis is built to have the ball, the possession. They got patient to have the ball, and Real Madrid struggled at some points. First of all, to regain it, to put pressure on it, and then to make the transition, because we saw in the first 45 and then a little bit in the second how Real Madrid, as soon as they regain the ball, they try to bring it as quick as possible to Mbappe and Vini Juniors. But I think that today was better. I think that Valverde grew himself. He made himself bigger, because Ceballos, we saw him a little bit when the possession of the team, it was a little bit more for Real Madrid. So he was involved a little bit, but not as much as I thought that he will be. He's a quality player. And it was Valverde, the one who I think today stood up and started asking the ball, also in transition, in attack, but also in defense. We saw him tracking back a couple of times, and his physical presence, it was very important. So I mean, he was quiet, but he was in the right position. But again, I totally agree with Craig. This is a team that needs to increase the intensity, and you play against Betis, they don't have even a centre forward. They have to play with Ruibal, that is a player who has played as a fullback, as a winger, as every single position on the field, but he's not a striker. If you play against a team that is going to be a more threat, it's going to be more dangerous, you're going to have to be in trouble. Today in the second half, I like it more Real Madrid in the middle of the park. But again, is that the answer, or we have to wait to see if the pieces of Jude Bellingham is going to be good enough to continue construction the future Real Madrid?
Because he's got Bellingham to come back, and that's I'm not going to call it a headache.
I was going to say, you're going to call it a problem?
No. Well, it's not a problem, but it's a problem finding where he's going to be as good as last season in terms of what position.
I might suggest the problem with him now is that he's not there.
Yeah, but even when he played in the first match of the season, he was frustrated. He was frustrated playing for England at the Euros because he was chasing back a lot. He was chasing back a lot in the game against Mallorca because he was playing on the left of a three. Last year he played more as a number 10, and you had Rodrigo and Vinicius. That sort of dynamic has changed. So, yeah, I mean, these are good problems to have, but it's still finding... It's just, you've got a bunch of superstars, and they've got to find a way to make the team balanced right when they're all in it.
Your thoughts, the first goal at the Bernabeu, something that you dreamt of for a long time. What was the first thought that you got after scoring the first goal?
I was thinking if I was offside or not, because now you have to see. You have to see. But after, I was really happy because, like I said before, it was a difficult game, and we wanted to win. After the game we did in Las Palmas, the draw, and it was really important. And after, when everybody come to congratulate me and tell me all this stuff, I was really happy, and I realized the thing, and I was really happy all the Madridistas were there with me, and it was a wonderful moment for me. Thank you, guys. Gracias.
That was right up there with my prediction for a draw between Man United and Liverpool.
Nailed it.
Which then, look, we can all sit here and say, we do predictions. Mm-hmm. You know, we've been sitting every La Liga game. Well, that was only the fourth Real Madrid game. But, you know, the big talking point has been Mbappe. When's he going to score? You could sit and he didn't score today. If he didn't score today, we'd sit in the next game and say, it's going to be now. Because it was always going to happen at some point, which is a relief for him. But I think you can even see in his face there, he's pleased because the adulation he got from the supporters coming off, the fact that that'll quell the headlines about it. And more importantly, I think than all of this, even though the big story is Mbappe, is that Real Madrid got themselves 3 points, three very important points, with Barcelona winning 7-0 the day before. So a huge, huge day all round so early in the La Liga season. You
said it was always going to happen, but we were watching this game, and through the first half there was frustrating moments. There was a miss, 10 minutes into the second half. Our Alex Kirkland was there at the Santiago Bernabeu. He witnessed it all. Take us to the moment when Mbappe finally scores. What was the experience like in the stadium?
Yeah, well, Craig used the word relief there, and it was a sort of collective sense of relief, I think, not just for the player, but for the fans and everyone here connected to Real Madrid, because the longer it took for that first goal to come, and yes, it was always going to come, but it had taken a little while in La Liga at least, and it was on people's minds, there's no question about that, and the headlines tomorrow would have been all about that if he hadn't scored. As it is, he scored twice. I loved how how honest he was afterwards as well, talking to the media. He said, look, for most people, 3 games without scoring isn't much, but for me, it's an awful lot. He's a confident young man, is Kylian Mbappe. But yeah, it's true. I mean, look at his career. The stats sort of bear that out. But even someone sort of as confident as him, with all the goals that he scored, I think was feeling a little bit of pressure just to break that La Liga duck, and he did so. And I think it's no coincidence that having scored the first goal, the second goal came so quickly. What was it, 7 or 8 minutes later from the penalty spot, and a nice touch as well. This was picked up as well post-match. The fact that Vinicius Junior was fouled for the penalty, and Vinicius let Mbappe take it to score his second goal, to make it a brace, not just the one. A moment that Carlo Ancelotti described as an altruistic moment from Vinicius after the match. There's been a lot of focus on those two and their relationship. Mbappe was asked about that as well in the mixed zone and said that no, their relationship is really good. Same goes for Rodrigo, the other member of this front three. So for all of those reasons, I think really important to get the goal, to get the brace, to put that to bed, and to be able to go into the international break now having scored. And as you were saying, listening to him, watching him in the mixed zone here after the game, big smile, looked very, very happy indeed. And yeah, it might not be normal for him to have to wait, go 3 games without scoring, but that brace came in the 4th now.
Alex, now that Mbappe has his goals, we can kind of move past that storyline. What are the big storylines for Real Madrid as we head towards the international break, knowing, of course, that they're now looking up in the table at a perfect so far Barcelona?
Well, the other big sort of talking point tonight, I think, and the sort of really good news for Madrid, apart from Mbappe's goals, is Fede Valverde and how good he was here, not just with that incredible backheel assist from Mbappe's first goal, but his all-round performance, because we know that in this system, with this front three, with Mbappe and Vinicius and Rodrigo, the role of the midfield is so important, especially that of Fede Valverde. So his form is great news, and the performance of Tchouaméni, the other one of the sort of the midfield pivot, who's coming for some criticism so far this season. There's talk that he's sort of being asked to be Toni Kroos, and he isn't Toni Kroos, of course he isn't. He's never going to be Toni Kroos, but he played really well. And whereas in the previous sort of games, there'd been 1 or 2 sort of grumbles from the fans about Tchouaméni, and 1 or 2 of the things that he was doing, his passing isn't always quite as, of course it's not Toni Kroos level, but he was very, very good here. So I think just as good news for Madrid, apart from Mbappe's goals, is the way that Valverde and Tchouaméni play, because for this Real Madrid team to work, this system to work, the role of those 2 midfielders in particular is absolutely crucial, and they were really good here.